time. He met her. And so he wrote this thing because there is nobody in my life I know who did it better than her, right? So, but those parts exist in us. And um, psychologists would say that my grandmother was very good at co-regulation, because if a child was what she called rest broken, like she talks about rest, but if somebody was rest broken, which is like what we feel when we're cranky and we can't quite get, and we're trying to get this project going, and we just stuck in the thing that usually takes us 5 minutes to do, we're trying to do it for the last 3 hours and we can't get it done. That's the rest broken person, right? So my grandmother, with her unconditional love, was able to get to this place in herself, um, where, like in polyvagal theory, they talk about this place where we're calm and we're always quiet, right? That part of our nervous system that governs that calm space. My grandmother could get right there, hold us close, and then, right, the resonance of her could help us start to find that in ourselves. And we all know there's somebody in our lives that when life is going crazy, we can call them, and just about 30 seconds in, we're like, okay, I got my breath. I'm good. Okay, let me just talk to you about this, right? So that ability, right? So being able to do that with other people is also something we begin to do with ourselves. We start to know how to negotiate between these parts. So that part that exists outside of us as a calm person is also in us. And if we can allow that part to almost hold the part that's worried, we can hear what the worried part needs us to know and create a plan that helps that worried part feel more safe.
Oh, I love that so much. I love that so much. Yeah, it's so beautiful because we often are looking for the purpose that will give us a feeling of resolution again based on what people are giving us as feedback as, oh, you're doing a good job, or yes, you're a beautiful human being and citizen, and or whatever that the reward that we thought we were going to get when we did all the good things as a good girl. Um, those little pieces, like, and the truth of it is the treasure is that it's for you first,
Yeah.
right? And I say that all the time about voice, is that we all think that we're supposed to be talking for others so they can understand us, so we can get something done externally. So it's all externalized. And I'm like, yeah, well, yes, and right, that
Mm-hmm.
it's for you first. It's your medicine. It's your cure. It's your power. It's your uh, ability to create in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So this purpose, yeah, this purpose game, yeah, it can be of service. And it's first for you to orient to yourself, to know your own sense of value. That is precious, guys. I don't even know if you realize how like big a gem that is, to know where your values lie so that you can orient yourself to them and know when you're away from them.
Yeah.
What's feeding you, what's resourcing you for that vitality.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so powerful. So
Mm-hmm.
powerful.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. I
What's
love it.
resourcing you?
Yes, that resourcing. So she has a beautiful free gift for us called Resources for the Recharging. You might as well get started today, folks. It's available. So you want to tell me a little bit about what's contained in that?
Yeah, yeah. In fact, I named it for those times when you're feeling rest broken because right,
Mm,
this is what my grandmother, this is how my grandmother described what we would describe as I'm so stressed out I don't even know what to do with myself, right? Or I'm so depleted
yeah.
I don't know what to do with myself. So these are short practices that you can use. There's two on that page that you can use daily, right? You want to start using these practices on a regular basis so that you just put them in little spots where you can in your day. When you have 5 or 10 minutes, you use to practice. So one of them is a practice to just get you back in tune with your body, right? It's a body scan practice. It's called 3 minute breathing space. And then the other one is a yoga nidra practice. And yoga nidra is a deep rest practice, a practice that helps us move from being fully awake and conscious and into a deeper rest. It's a shorter practice, so you don't go as deep in, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes for you to just slow yourself down and get into
Mm,
deep rest. Um, I'm toying with the idea of putting one up there that's a little bit longer, but I think I'll wait a little while before I do that because most people need like shorter practices when they feel rest broken. They need things that they can do with ease. And if there's a longer practice, I don't want them to get afraid. So things there that I think are
Yeah.
simple that they can use to help them.
That's smart because the biggest feeling and the biggest lie is that we don't have enough time, right? We have the time that we're in, right? But uh, that feeling of pressure that is constant and really in this society is real. So
Mm-hmm.
don't let me talk you out of that truth. But it's also we do our best to give the small steps that'll get us to the bigger spaces,
Mm-hmm.
and that makes total sense in this time of life. Like there's just so
Yeah,
much going on, and some we
yeah,
just need something to bring some sanity, so that we can get to the next more whole place. So
yeah,
I think it's perfect.
yeah,
The
exactly.
the
Yeah, that's the
little
page.
dose of sanity.
Just a little dose. Right.
And that recognition, just in that recognition, I think as a child, you're used, if you go into a tantrum, they're like, oh, you're just being a child. But if you're an adult and a rest broken, you're just like, you feel like you failed.
Yes. Yeah.
Child is accepted as just, oh, they're okay. Yeah, they're being children. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Um, and as an adult, you don't get, oh, there's not an okay. You're okay. You're not broken. You're just rest
Uh-huh.
broken, and we're
Yeah.
just gonna get you a sense of
Yeah. We're gonna
rest
get you
here.
back on track. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it so
Exactly.
much. Oh my gosh, so many gems. Thank you so much, Dr. Sandra,
Oh,
for coming
my
here
pleasure.
today. And oh God, yeah, just love the conversation and I appreciate your time. So I am so glad for you guys to get these doses of wisdom today from her. And I hope you go check her out because she's obviously doing amazing work. And that anytime when somebody has these tools of cohesiveness tied together with things that are practiced and tried and researched and proven, it really is a magical combination. And I'm so glad that they have access to you now because they have seen you through this wonderful platform. So you're welcome, folks, for coming to the Voice of Your Summit to have this experience. Please do join us if you haven't registered already. There's a lot of other freebies available to you if you join us on the page. And yes, and I will see you on the next interview. You have anything else you want to leave with us, Dr. Lewis?
No, just I think that awareness that every moment has in every moment that feels like it can't change, there is the possibility for change. Where you feel stuck, there's a possibility for change. So
Mm,
just
yeah,
recognize it's never the end of your story. When it feels stuck, it's just the beginning of a new chapter.
thank you so much. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next interview.
Thank you.
You call me a saint, but you know I'm a stranger, all willing and able to do what you want. You think I'm a thinker, but I'm just a singer, all messy and pretty, just making believe. Boy, I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling.
Ah, I see that little recorder thing was on the whole time. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. Yay! So glad. I mean, thank you. Dr. Sandra Lewis is here with us. I'm so excited that you were able to fit us into your schedule. Hi.
Hi, how you feeling?
Good. I'm feeling great. I'm so excited because that was so awesome, and I'm so glad that people are getting to experience it. So thank you for coming. You look
Yeah,
gorgeous.
happy I could
Your
come today.
wrap. Yeah. So yeah. So did you notice anything? Did you watch it?
I did. I
Yeah.
watched. I was like, wow, we got kind of deep. Yeah,
That happens to me.
yeah. Yeah. I think we we went pretty deep, and I feel like there are so many pieces in there that people can take for those tough times, but also just to like keep you focused, like that eyes on the prize idea, just to help you keep your eyes on the prize, right? So that you don't have to go so deep into the darkness, right? But you can
Oh,
keep your eyes
yeah.
on the that's what.
No, such a good message, especially right now. And we can take it in steps, and we can and still be optimistic about being in a better place. It
Yes.
can happen. You can grow through these times, and it sometimes feels like you can't, like you're just stuck with what you get, right? But we can with these kind of tools. You can build a greater capacity to show up for yourself and others. And so, yeah, so good, so good. So, does anybody want to have any questions for Dr. Sandra, or any ahas or thank yous for what they've gotten so far? Oh, we got Jenna here. You can unmute and join in it just when you're ready.
Hi, thank you so much for sharing all of that wisdom. I actually found this summit through Jen Lang. So, yeah, so just thought I'd throw that out there. I've known Jen for a few years, and then recently I've just been kind of in that stuck phase, I will say, because of some health issues. But I really did find, for me personally, I pushed myself and I was very much a people pleaser growing up. And I found that, well, I've developed several chronic illnesses now, and that has really opened my eyes and made it clear, like, just how important that rest and reconnection is with ourselves. But I do have a question for you, Dr. Lewis. One thing that I would say that I'm working on the most right now is rejection sensitive dysphoria. And I find when that comes up, like most of the time, I'm very mindful, I can handle things. But when something just goes off and I experience that moment of RSD, it just feels very catastrophic. And I'm not sure, you know, if you have any insight or wisdom into what I might be able to do there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I'm hearing, let me just make sure I understand what you're saying, is that there are times when things don't go as you'd hoped, and because they don't, or it could be you were trying to sign a new client and they said no, or you were trying to get something and it didn't go the way you wanted, and that feels like, when you say rejection to me says it feels like you're not wanted. There's something about you that's not valued. And that leaves you in a place of questioning yourself. Am I on the right track?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, for the most part, when it comes to work and business, that's not necessarily where the issue comes from. But like, let's say I've had a client for a while, and then we've kind of developed a more personal relationship, more of a connection. And then, or maybe I'm mentoring someone and we're getting closer, and then they turn around and say, you know what, I've had it, I'm done, I'm moving on, and then in that moment, usually it's in relation to conflict. So yeah, it's yeah, if I feel like a relationship has broken, that's when it kind of comes up.
Okay. So that some of that might just be processing where the relationship is going or where it was going and what you wanted out of it. There's somewhere you feel some sadness or loss because there's a disconnect between what the reality is and what your ideal was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that dysphoria that you feel is not an enemy. It's actually telling you to look at what went wrong for you, right? What is the dysphoria about? Is it about, I gave all of this to this person and then they acted like I did nothing? What is it? You have to first get in touch with what the dysphoria is about. Did I hear you say when you started this, maybe what did you say there was a pattern that you've noticed in yourself?
Um, Not necessarily a pattern. Well, I used to be very much a people pleaser.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. So I've grown a lot from that. I've gone away from my, anxious attachment and my codependency issues. I've become a very secure person and I'm very confident in myself, but I still find that there are certain instances where it just comes out of nowhere and it feels like a strike of lightning has hit me. And yeah, so I think I'm missing something there, but
Well, I'd say it's just that many things that have been with us for a long time, we change them and then we learn, okay, we've gotten to that point. There's like this other little piece that's like there was a piece of cloth hanging off the edge that needs to be trimmed. So these little things come up to help us get even better at pleasing ourselves and negotiating relationships in a more effective way. So what I'm suggesting you can do is to listen to, right, the part of you that used to people please and sort of say, are you feeling, right? Are you feeling something here you that bothers you? But you can also listen to what the feeling itself is saying to you. Like what it and I'm guessing that this gets in the way of you being productive, you what are effective in your world.
yes, yeah,
Yeah. Right. So
absolutely.
right. So you get stuck in a bad feeling and then everything else seems bad. It's like what we call in psychology state dependent memory. Right. So
Okay, yes.
once we're back in that state of like, oh, stuff went bad, everything else is clouded like by that. And we start to remember all the other times that things went badly, right?
hmm
You want to hear what your emotions are saying. If something is happening inside of you, I always say it is there to assist you. So you have this ability to work through challenges. You've done it before. You actually shifted the way you work, so you're not focusing on pleasing others. Like that's
hmm
not your main goal. You have other goals that you clearly made as much more important than just pleasing someone, right? Like I just want to do it the way you want to do it. But now you're saying, okay, some of what you have to say is good, but I also think it could be this. So you negotiate it, right?
hmm
With your desire to please others and your desire to please yourself. And now there's a feeling that's hanging out when a relationship goes differently than you expected. And that feeling is there to instruct you some more. It will probably help you get even more of the old remnants of being a people pleaser, right? Iron that out, work that out, or
Right.
transform into some other kind of insight. That's the first thing is to just listen to what the feeling is telling you. I would journal about it if I were you. That would be
I
my
journal so much, yes.
I
I
would
do.
journal
Yeah.
about it and then I would look back and say, okay, so what did it say? What are the themes here? And then I would work with that in myself. You have the history of knowing that you can get past this, right? You got
hmm
that history. So there's a part of you that already knows you can get past it. And that part of you can help you be clear enough to listen to the part that feels stuck.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Wow, that's so cool. Um, yes, and I want to remind everybody that, when you tap in and you allow yourself to receive the gift that she has given in the free gifts area, that you can be able to connect with Dr. Lewis in another way as well. So you might want to continue that relationship if it feels good for you. And yeah, and I've felt that way too. Like I do a lot of astrology and gene keys, and gene keys, my major core wound is rejection. So
Mm.
it's very much an aspect that I have run into and will shut down around. In that way that you were talking about, I know the technical terms, but but like how it fogs the rest of what you're trying to get done, even though maybe you're really go on a roll up until then or something like this. So I definitely have had that feeling as well. And I've had that experience of it refining my ability to be in presence and awareness, and like see that from like a different state. That's how I see like bring the other part in. And we were talking about earlier that somehow, I'm so amazed how this happens every year, but somehow all the speakers today have a sense of states of consciousness and what it means to be able to navigate that and the perspectives of our minds so that we can be more whole in our approach to life. So it's so perfect that that's what the question came up around. Again, like this, so we're going to pop off in 5 minutes. We pop off 5 minutes before the hour for each speaker to go live at the top of the next hour. And our next hour speaker is Valerie Debbie Carpenter, and she is an amazing shamanistic sound healing specialist. And so, yeah, she's here. Valerie, hey girl. You're muted. Did I get that right or did it?
Yeah, you got all that right.
I'm not reading it.
But I wanted to say hello and make a bridge between the beautiful information that Dr. Lewis shared and what we're about to discuss. And Dr. Lewis, I entered just a little bit late and I caught what you were saying about the Dagara tradition.
Mm.
And I wanted to say that one of the things that has made the most impact on my life was hearing Malidoma Somé talk about the Dagara tradition and how in that tradition there's a belief that people don't need to die and they only die because they haven't been allowed to give their gifts. But at some point there will be a society where the dream is of the society where everyone can give their gifts fully and be received fully. Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, that is definitely, I think, one of the things, because it makes sense from that cultural perspective, because there is no real end to life, right? There's no real end. And there's also purpose to every life. So when every being is fulfilling their purpose, then we all thrive in a whole new way. So for sure, I could see that as being one of the things he talked about. I recently listened to his audio discussion of water and the spirit. And it's incredibly moving. It's so incredibly moving just to listen to the way he was able to find himself after such tragedy and his culture, the way it helped him to navigate the world. It's one of the most beautiful things. I read the book and fell in love with it, but hearing him talk about it was even more rewarding.
Yeah, it is a wonderful book, and I just want to thank you for carrying that wisdom with you and giving me that reminder of it, because it is a very sustaining belief that we're all here to give our gifts and have them received, and what a different world it would be when that happens more.
For sure. His first wife, Sobonfu Somé, wrote The Spirit of Intimacy, and she does one of the most beautiful, heartwarming jobs of talking about purpose and all of us being here for a reason that I've ever seen. It's an incredible book. I usually keep copies of it and give them away.
I don't have that one, but I'll get it. I love Sim.
Yeah.
Sobonfu.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you wouldn't mind typing it into the chat, so that we can make a copy of it, and maybe I can put in the description for the video as well, so that if anybody else would be interested in reading those, it sounds awesome. I'm going to be copying it for myself as well. So wow, that's so beautiful, and yay. So we're just gonna pop off so that we can clear the signals so that the next video comes through clear. And yeah, so right now is when you want to either grab the link from the chat or find your event page, so that you can come on top of the video will be playing if I've hit all the buttons in sequence. Yeah. So so it'll be playing as soon as the top of the hour hits. Okay, y'all. So all those things that you want to dive into from the chat. And yes, Dr. Sandra, you're amazing. Thank you. It's the same link. So yeah, so you can use the same link that you came in with from the event room. All right, so everybody's got that. And thank you so much, Dr. Sandra, for letting us be able to track those wonderful books. All right, same link. I'm just going to shut it down and come back. All right.